Well, you can always tell by looking at my floor what's been going on. So when you see stuff that's knocked over, and you see a torch that's knocked over, and the lighter to the torch laying on the floor, you know that there's been a battle going on. See over here, we got a thing of Gorilla Glue that dried up because I hadn't opened it in 2 or 3 or 4 years, and some thinner, lacquer thinner, acetone stuff here. It's packaging. So anyway, this is what's been going on. I want to give you guys an update on this fuel line that I've been attempting to unstop. Well, that was, to quote one of my favorite YouTubers, as a total fiasco. So anyway, this thing, I don't know how much old gas it has in it, how much varnish and how much gum is in it, but it's got to be a lot. I mean, this thing is probably stuffed up from here all the way to down here somewhere. I get about, well, let's just put it this way. I'm putting a little squeezy bottle of lacquer thinner in. I can only get about a little squeezy bottle about that size there, and there it is, over there. I can only get about an inch worth in each one of these, so forget it. It's not going to happen. So, also, I'm not going to pay $80 plus $15 or $20 shipping for a new one of these that would liable to be bent up before it got here, because how long it is. This thing's about, I don't know, the car's 17 feet long, so I'd say this thing is probably 13 feet. I haven't measured it. I did a rough measure, 13 or 14 feet worth of, so I just, so I made one. So this is whatever they call this stuff, NICOP. That's nickel copper, I guess it is. It's, well, whatever, but it's got a copper coat on the outside of it, but you sand it down, scrape it down, it's got whatever under it. I don't know. You tell me, what is it? Anyway, it's pretty easy to work with, but this was not easy. You can see these bends I had to put in this thing. This is not even one of my favorite jobs to do either. So, you ever seen those? I'm sure you've seen those nature shows where they've found a python somewhere where it's not supposed to be, like under somebody's house. Or what's the one? Is it pythons in Florida, or is it the other, whatever kind of snake that is that grow to unbelievable lengths? But anyway, so they have to wrestle these things and get them contained and back where they go. So this is what I felt like I did here. I fought with this thing. Not only was I trying to put the bends in it, but I was trying to keep control of it because I had, where is that? Anyway, yeah, here it is. Oh, so it's still fighting me. Get out of here. Anyway. Anyway, this is a roll. I got a 25-foot roll, and I think this stuff was only like $20, $20-something for that. Might have been like $4 shipping, so I saved a whole ton of money. Now, I put my flares on and everything, so good to go. Not the original style flares, but they're flares nonetheless. They'll work just fine. And some of these bends, I'm going to tell you, I know this thing is going to, not only is it going to take probably 2 or 3 hours to get this thing, well, maybe not that bad, but at least probably an hour or so to get this thing back in. But it's not going to be perfect because I don't know what they used to bend those originally, but I'm sure they have some sort of highfalutin machine up there that they used to bend these lines with. They still do. They still make these the same way. It's not rocket science. But me and my little tubing bender did the best we could with this. But this little part here where it kind of, you see over there the same way. But this, well, I can tell you what this is. This is where it makes a 90-degree turn here, and then 90-degree turn comes along the edge of the body here, like out here by the rocker panel on that side over there, though. And then it comes around and it works its way up, and this is going around the frame rail. So imagine that this thing is, I ain't gonna do it, but imagine the thing is, well, no, this is right, actually. So the frame rail is like running this way, and it kind of wraps around there, so it comes back and comes down to the tank. So anyway, whatever. We'll see how this works out. I have to do a lot of tweaking on it. I can just tell you that now. And some of these turns I had to go back and work back out because I almost got them too tight, but it seems to be okay. So whew, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Yeah, this thing is, it's like it's a life of its own, like it's gonna come to life here and wrap itself around me here. So one thing I've learned since I've been doing this kind of stuff, bending up brake lines and fuel lines and stuff, is that I'm not going to Harbor Freight for any more flaring tool kits because I got one of those and I could not ever make it work right. This thing would not grip. You know, it has to grip the end, and this is a double flare. This is not really. I think the one that's on the original is a bubble flare, what they call it. But I don't have a bubble flare maker, so I didn't make bubble flares. And this is not a pressure fuel line anyway, so I don't care. Anyway, so the one I had from Harbor Freight didn't ever work right, and I don't know where it went. It might have went in the garbage. I don't know, but it doesn't matter to me because it's gone. So I went on. This has been a few years ago anyway, but I went on to the internet and found a good use snap-on double flaring tool kit made right there in Kenosha, and it works great. The thing has no problems. So I did that, and also I was trying to use the same equivalent flaring tool, and that never did work right either. So I'll show you the one. I'm gonna go dig it out. I'll show you the one I use now. All right, here it is. I'd go looking for it. I just used it yesterday and just couldn't find it. But this is my old vintage KD Tools flaring tool. It's just got two, what do they call this thing? Two guides or whatever, but that's not what they call these, mandrels or something like that. But anyway, just for 3/8 and 5/16. That's probably what I'd ever use it for. But this is one of these handheld deals, and they work nicely for the most part, but there are spots, like I said, this 90-degree stuff here, that was nearly impossible. So, you know, you just can't get the thing to maneuver. But it worked, and I'm trying to get sympathy. I'm just saying, if you're going to do this kind of work, be prepared that it's not easy. And this is my old tubing cutter. This is my dad's. I found this somewhere years and years and years ago. I don't know what brand this is. It's on it somewhere, but anyway, this thing's probably 55, 60 years old, I'd say, and it works good. I'm going to hopefully restore this thing pretty soon because it needs a blade on it. The blade, it's kind of hard to see, but the blade has got a couple spots where the edge has got a chip out of it. So anyway, this is my tube flaring stuff. So anyway, that should work. Hopefully that should work fine. I'm going to run some fuel through it and call it good. So, you know, I hate like everything have to buy, you know, have to replace something like this, which physically looks fine, like it should just work forever, but it's just not going to. I never did really explain this. See, what's going on, all these bite spots, which I'm going to come back and clean the floor. Don't worry about that. I'm just, you know, I'm in the middle of this right now. I don't have time to clean much, but if this was ethanol fuel, this would have not happened because ethanol evaporates. This thing, after about a month, there wouldn't be any fuel left in it because my car's the fuel system goes dry on them if I let them sit for a week. So a month, this thing would have been dry, and that, you know, the tank, no telling what would have happened in the tank, but the fuel line, I can just almost promise you it would not have done this. This stuff had the good old-fashioned gas in it that does not evaporate like that. It had no ethanol in it. It's just regular unleaded. So when it sits and sits and sits in there, it turns back into some version of its original composition, I guess. Tar and gum and whatever. I don't know. I'm probably using the wrong word, but I don't know if they call it the distillates or whatever it is, the thing that thins it to make it into gasoline. Sure you guys can advise me on that, but those are what evaporates, and then the rest of it stays there. So, you know, Everybody complains about the ethanol corn gas, but really, it's pick your poison on this, because if you leave this stuff in there, it turns into varnish and gum, and it ruins your fuel line. Or if you use ethanol gas, it degrades, the rubber, allegedly. I've never had to rebuild a carburetor in anything because of ethanol gas. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if that's mythology or what. It's never happened to me. I've always just had good luck with it. But be that as it may, this thing's going to go out into the scrap pile out there, which I actually thinned out my scrap pile, as you saw, and took that to Uncle Phil. Worked out pretty good, didn't it? All right, guys. Well, I'll get out here hopefully at some point, maybe this week, and I'll start working this fuel line back in and getting it put in. But like I said, that was going to hold up putting the engine in, because I just don't want to try to deal with that with it in there. So, okay, I got to go. So I'm going in now and get this together for you. So I'll see you on another one. Bye-bye.